Welcome to the next edition of War Story Wednesdays. Today I want to talk about real estate brokers and the duties that a real estate broker owes a client. Now, you may have heard of dual agency, and in a dual agency scenario, the real estate brokerage, the listing agent and the seller's representative, are sometimes the same person. Or sometimes it's one agent in the office and a different agent from the same office. Now, the question has been whether or not the listing agent, the person who is representing the seller, has any duties to the buyer when the buyer is represented by a different agent. Clearly, if the buyer is from a different real estate brokerage company, there's no fiduciary duty between the listing agent and the buyer. But what happens if the buyer is represented by another agent inside the same brokerage as the listing agent? For a long time, everybody has known that the brokerage was a dual agent, but nobody linked a fiduciary duty from the listing agent to the buyer. Clearly, there was a fiduciary relationship from the buyer's agent to the buyer. Well, in a recent case, Horiike versus Coldwell Banker, the Court of Appeal held that the listing agent, the person representing the seller of the real estate, owed fiduciary duties to the buyer. Now think about that for just a minute. We know that the brokerage, Coldwell Banker, had fiduciary duties to the buyer and to the seller. But the seller's agent having fiduciary duties directly to the buyer was the step that the court held in Horiike that was different than anything else that had been in California before then. So, what does that mean for you? If you are a real estate licensee and you're the listing agent, you need to pay very close attention to your colleague in the office and discuss what the colleague's buyer, client, is concerned about with respect to the transaction, because you now have fiduciary duties to that buyer. If you're the customer, if you're the buyer or the seller, you should take care to make sure that the real estate agents understand that they owe you those fiduciary duties. It's a tremendous change from the buyer's perspective, because now the listing agent owes you those same obligations of investigation, discovery, and discussion about the aspects of the real estate that formerly only your buyer's agent had. It's a big change in the law.